Whatever works. Now, every week we have a dramatic performance, a skit, if you will, that helps to showcase life maybe a little different, from a different perspective than maybe you've seen in the past. I've always been that goofy kid in the back of the room who sees stuff a little different than most folks. And I write the skits, so oftentimes it's a little glimpse into my world. And I hope that it resonates with you. I hope that it really resonates. It really hits that internal truth button with you. But just like going to a movie or watching a TV show, you get to see things from the perspective of the writers and the directors and the performers. So we're going to welcome up our Connections Thespian Society. Happy Halloween. The highlight of Halloween for most kids is, of course, trick-or-treating. They put on their costumes and walk door to door, ringing doorbells and saying trick or treat. When someone opens the door, each kid fully expects to receive a treat. And they get it from each person who opens the door to them. As adults, we often think that this is some special power reserved only for kids and only for one night of the year. As enlightened adults, what can we learn from this holiday? Let's join three friends, Philosophical Phil, Metaphysical Mary, and New Age Nancy, as they're discussing this very idea.
We can learn a lot about life from this holiday we call Halloween.
I totally agree, Phil. It is the one night a year that people actually expect to see ghosts. They are actually around us all the time.
And as adults, we do put on costumes every day. Our clothes, jewelry, uniforms, even our makeup.
Exactly. Also, it reminds us that every door in our life is actually an opportunity. It's up to us to walk up to that door and knock.
That's true, Phil. Looking at the kids, for example, they set their intentions, getting candy, and then put action behind it by putting on their costume and walking up to each door and knocking.
It also teaches us to look for universal timing. After all, any other night of the year, the kids can put on a costume and knock on as many doors as they like, and they probably won't get much candy.
It also reminds us of the universal good nature of other people. We send our kids from house to house expecting that each person that they encounter will give them a positive experience and a piece of candy.
That's true. Every other day of the year, we teach our children not to take candy from strangers. On Halloween, we actively encourage it.
Well, imagine if, in our daily lives, we embrace a trick-or-treat attitude.
But Mary, we do. Whether we realize it or not, we just don't call it trick-or-treat. We use different words like easy and hard.
Like Henry Ford said, whether you think that you can or you can't, you are right.
That is the practical application of intention.
That is true. Our thoughts have so much power in our lives. So does our self-talk, intentions, and expectations.
Just like the kids out trick-or-treating, a specific intention backed by action, with a definite intention and a wholehearted expectation.
Add all of those together and they get exactly what they desire.
Now, in trick-or-treating, kids want candy. What do you want in your life? Think about it right now. Think about one thing in your life that you want. Now, do you really, in your heart, expect to get it? Do you think that it will be easy to get or hard to get? Imagine if you had a built-in easy button and a built-in hard button. Each thought, each word, each deed actually push this button and let your light shine through it. And everyone else could see it even if you couldn't. Now imagine that each person that you encountered had a built-in desire to say, "You're right," no matter which button you had pushed. Here's a glimpse into how I see reality. The reality that we create together.
So, Phil, tell us something you want.
Well, I would really like to get a job.
Do you think that will be easy or hard to get a job?
Well, in today's economy and job market, with all the competition at my age, you just throw my phone on the floor. I'm being molested, everyone. There, it's on.
Hold on to it.
I got it.
There you go. Then repeat that, Pop.
Repeat.
Well, in today's economy and job market, with all the competition at my age, boink, I'd like to think that it would be easy, but I don't know.
I hear hear you, Phil. It is tough out there. The number of people who are unemployed is staggering. Employees are waiting to see if the economy is going to get better before investing in new employees.
I have friends that have been out of work and actively looking for a job with no luck at all. A couple of my friends have not worked in a couple of years.
I hear you. I've been looking in the paper and have sent out a few resumes, but so far, I am lucky if I even get called in for an interview, much less a job.
Now it's easy for everyone here to see that Phil has pushed his hard button. Everything and everyone that Phil seems to encounter is doing a great job of supporting Phil's choice to press that hard button. People, circumstances, ideas, and things show up in Phil's world telling him that he's right. Now, let's rewind time just a little bit and see what would have happened if Phil had pushed his easy button instead.
Go for it, Nancy.
So, Phil, tell us something that you want.
Well, I would really like to get a job.
Do you think it will be easy or hard to get a job?
Well, I used to actually believe what the news told me what to think. But after careful consideration, I have decided to not participate in the recession. I only need one job, and there are lots of places that need one employee. And I am a great employee.
That's a great attitude, Phil. I glanced through the newspaper and saw over 300 job openings. You are qualified to do most of them, and they would be lucky to have you.
Have you thought about what type of job you want, Phil?
Of course, it's very clear in my mind. The type of job, the type of company, the kind of boss and co-workers, even the pay, benefits, and its location being close to my house. I can see it so clearly and feel it already. I know that it's right around the corner.
Have you set a time frame that you would like to start working at this new job?
Yeah, I decided that I'd like to begin this new job in about 2 weeks. That'll give me time to finish up a couple of projects I have going on.
I just love your attitude, Phil. That alone makes you a huge asset to any company and easy to hire.
Ring, ring.
Hello? Hey, Sarah, how are you? Uh-huh. Sure, I'd love to go to lunch today. You sound down. What's going on? You've been interviewing people all day? Why is that so draining? Yeah, I see how hearing sob story after sob story can bring you down. The people seem so negative in the interview that you couldn't imagine hiring them and having to deal with that negativity in every day and day out. I don't blame you. What's the job? And the pay? Wow, that's pretty good. Where's it located? Sarah, you're not going to believe this, but I was just talking to my friend Phil, and I think that is a match made in heaven. Would you mind if I put him on the phone real quick?
Hello, this is Bill. Hello, Sarah. I overheard a little bit of your conversation with Mary. Could you tell me a bit about the job? Uh-huh. Wow. Uh-huh. Perfect. You're not going to believe this, but I've worked in that field for years. Oh yeah, I only live about 2 miles from there. Sure, I'll drop my resume by your office today. Go to lunch with you and Mary? I'd love to. Sure, I can bring my resume. Sarah, you sound so upbeat. I think that we would work very well together. You think so too? You have a great feeling about this already. Wunderbar. Sure. I could start in 2 weeks. Well, I'm looking forward to it too. See you at lunch with my resume. We get to know each other a little bit better and work out the details. Thank you so much.
And sometimes things go just that quickly and just that easily. Other times they take a little more time. Only you have control of which button you press. Your easy button or your hard button. It is completely up to you. Everyone else can see which button you've pressed and act accordingly. Think of it as the adult version of trick or treat, easy or hard. You really can, you really do have it either way you choose. Now everybody knows what it means. So today's message, trick or treat. And now we've all celebrated Halloween, right? At different points in our lives, maybe even this week. Maybe we're looking forward to it tonight. Maybe we went to a Halloween party or a costume party on Friday night here at Connections or somewhere else. Friday, Saturday, or something tonight. Maybe some of us are looking forward to putting on our costume tonight and going door to door and winding up with a bucket load of candy. And others of us are really looking forward to people coming to our door and we get to see their smiles and their excitement and their costume. And we're looking forward to seeing them so we can give out the candy. It's a win-win situation. Now let's take a look at this holiday to understand it a little better. Knowledge is power. And the more we understand something, the more informed, the better choices we can be. When we made this fish tank over here, we did it with a Garden of the Gods concept because we wanted to have Zeus in the middle, the angry white guy on the throne with the beard. So that people could see, oh gosh, yeah, that was what I used to think that God was. And sitting next to him used to be his brother Hades, which is where you went if you didn't believe in God. The fish in the fish tank rebelled against Hades being in the tank, and they dug a little hole, and Hades started to fall into the underworld. The air and the lights on that side of the tank quit working, and the fish refused to swim on that half of the tank. Now, my old Christian upbringing said that Hades doesn't belong in the tank. We should go destroy Hades. We should put him out in the parking lot and drive over him a few times and throw the pieces away. My new enlightened self said, everyone and everything contains God, and everyone and everything deserves love. So instead, we look at Hades' little statue and we said, are you not comfortable here? And we felt like he wasn't. After the service, I'll show you, but we looked at Hades and we said, where would you be comfortable? And he said, man, I hang out in the underworld. And we said, we've got one of those. So we opened up the bottom of the tank and we put him in a sump pump. And then we surrounded him with rose quartz, which is the vibration of unconditional love energy. And we said, Hades, we love you, man. We really do, and we wish the best for you. And we honor that spark of God inside you. And we want you to be comfortable where you want to be comfortable. Now this created a void in that half of the tank, so we decided we wanted to put some more love and some more feminine energy into the tank. So we brought in the goddess of love, which accomplished both things. The day we did that, the air bubbles started working on that side. That half of the lights began working again, and the fish now, as you see, swim throughout the tank once again. But as we can see, that transition of thought, that transition of belief systems, because we know where it came from, we can see where it's going. The same thing is true with Halloween, so let's take a glimpse of Halloween and where it started, and maybe understand it a little better, and see what we can learn from it. This started several thousand years ago with the ancient Celts. In the ancient Celtic tradition, the year was divided into two halves, the light half and the dark half. During the light half of the year, everything would grow and prosper and eventually come to harvest. And during the dark half of the year, you would just try to survive, and the world around you would collapse, be cold, and everything would wither and die. Now, in Florida, that doesn't happen much, but I'll tell you, in South Dakota, where we moved here from, that is very much the case. The celebration that they started on October 31st was called Samhain. And Samhain was a harvest festival. And they would celebrate the bounty of the harvest because that bounty made it to where they could live through the winter or they would perish through the winter because nothing else would grow. So they would offer this huge celebration of Samhain. Now, during the Samhain festival, back in that day, they didn't have electricity. And they would build big bonfires in the celebration. We know that insects are attracted to light. And so insects would swarm around the bonfire, and what eats insects? Bats. Bats would come out and eat the insects. Now, because they didn't have electricity, that was the only time that most people ever saw a bat, was during the Samhain, during the bonfire celebration. And that's how bats became associated with Halloween. They also believed that during this time of transition from the light half of the year to the dark half of the year, which happened on October 31st, that the veil between this world and the next was at its thinnest point. And during this day, during this Samhain celebration, the entities, that people from the other side could come walk among the living. And that people, if they weren't careful, could stumble into the afterworld, the other world, and get trapped and not come back. So they said, go out in pairs. That way you can lead each other back. Now, how similar does that sound if you're going trick-or-treating, bring a friend? Same stuff. Now, at some point, that, like any other tradition, was kind of phased to die out. And it was rescued, actually, by the early Catholic Church. The Catholic was busy converting pagans to Christianity. And the Catholic Church was very smart from the standpoint that they didn't try to squish out old world traditions, because who would want to come be a part of something that just squished something that they had done for centuries. Instead, they would simply Christianize the pagan holidays